Hi guys. I hope you can hang on. Let me just do something with it. There we go. Hope you can all hear me. Lovely to see you. I have to, for those of you who've never seen someone post a wine show, excellent. All right, so before I make excuses for my appearance, hello Shell, I hope you got my message. A sangiovese glass is perfect, which is sort of a larger size. It looks a little bit like that. That's the best I could get from my hotel room, but that's actually quite a good shape. A Shiraz glass will work. Probably not a Pinot glass, but you know, if that's all you've got, that's all you've got. So anything that you can get the wine out of the bottle into and into your mouth will be perfect. Hello, Kay. Excellent to see you. San Filippo lo Scorno Rosso de Montalcino 2020 will be beautiful from the Prince Wine Store, Shell, and that will be 100% Sangiovese, so perfect selection, just from a little bit further south of Chianti Classico. Hello, Cotty and John. Lovely to see you. Angela, great to have you back. 2020 Fighting Gully Road Sangiovese, beautiful. Polished sausage and Gruyere, so jealous. Hello, Emily. How you going? Hello, Nina. Kay's got the Poggio Chianti Classico 2019. I have the Poggio Chianti Classico 2020. Sorry, can you see that? Bit of reflection. I'm in my hotel room here in Mildura. It's a beautiful hotel room. I'll give you a little spin. Hang on. So that's my little living room. I'm overlooking the pool, which is nice, but the weather's not very nice. So this is my little kitchenette. I won't take you into the bedroom. That would be inappropriate. But we've been working very hard. I know it's very cute. I'm sad that the little retro clock doesn't work, and I'm on a rocker here, so hopefully I don't rock backwards and you lose me. So I've been judging wines in the wine show all today. We started at 8:30 and finished at 5:30. So ran back here, got here, did your thing. So as you can see, my teeth look terrible. Staining from all those Sagrantinos and Barberas and Tempranos. One of the things that's really important when you work in the wine industry and when you taste lots of wine, or if you go to a big tasting, the big bit of information you need to take away is don't go home and brush your teeth with commercial toothpaste straight away. And so my teeth are going to look horrible like this until tomorrow morning. I'm going to go to a dinner tonight, but I'll be with all the other wine judges and they'll all have horrible black teeth. And the reason for not brushing your teeth, hello, Penny, lovely to see you. I'm just giving people a little bit of dental advice before we get into the wine. Please feel free to pour your wine. But if you brush your teeth with a toothbrush and commercial toothpaste after you spent a day tasting wine to get the black off your teeth, what will also come off your teeth will be your softened enamel, and that's why people get sore teeth, and you get particularly up around your gums. Hello, Peter and Karen, lovely to see you. So I use a little topical cream called Tooth Mousse that you just kind of smear on your teeth, and that kind of takes a little bit of that kind of hardens things up and makes your mouth feel a little bit less sore. Hello, Joni and Karen, lovely to. Oh God, hang on, sorry. No, we don't want to listen to that. No, sorry, my phone decided to talk to us. I'll just put that over there. But yes, hang on, Karen Goodman. Hello, Joni and Karen. Oh, hello, Joni. Craig's working tonight. Oh no, Karen, that's no good. But great to have you guys here. And who needs Craig anyway? Every week, you guys are quite capable of operating the machinery required. Yes, exactly, Simon. My equivalent of coal dust in the hair, absolutely. So, and it's really bad for your skin tasting wine as well. So I'm all sort of dry and flushed. So you just have to put up with me the way I am. I'm not looking my most glamorous, but we're not here to look glamorous. We're here to taste wine. So let's get these bottles open. Of course, I had to bring my bottle opener because a cork. And leaving just on the teeth thing, leaving your teeth unbrushed overnight. If you don't have any tooth mousse, you can just put a little bit of toothpaste or some mouthwash in your mouth and kind of swish it around. but don't scrub your teeth. Definitely floss because you can get all the bits out from between the teeth. And brush your teeth the next morning and they'll come up beautifully. All the black will come off and your teeth will feel fabulous. So you just need to make sure that whoever you're spending the evening and the night with also has equally horrible black teeth so that you're not grossing anyone out. Craig's left you with a Villa Antinori Chianti Classico. Excellent. Oh, well done, Karen. Brilliant work. All right, cork out. Successful. I actually wish, after all the tasting that I've done in the last 2 days, that I'd selected a white wine for us tonight, but I'm a trooper and I will soldier on. I haven't checked this glass. In fact, just talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I'm just going to give this glass a rinse because it's a bit ugly. A friend of mine who worked in hotels a long time ago said you should always rinse out your glasses and your cups before you use them in hotels because that's probably all that's been done to them since the last person used them. They don't get washed properly. Alison has a Fattoria Le Pupille, Morellino di Scansano. You're told it was a Sangiovese. Now, that's going into some pretty difficult territory. So Italian wine is really tricky. And Morellino di Scansano, I think, is Sangiovese, but let's Google it. Let's Google it together. Because in Italian and with Italian wine, all of the wines are named after the region that they come from, not the grape variety. And Sangiovese is grown across the whole of Italy. So we talk about Tuscany and Chianti Classico as being sort of the home of high quality Sangiovese. But in fact, Sangiovese is grown everywhere in Italy and made into different levels of wine more or less successfully everywhere. Now, Morellino, Alison, is also in Tuscany, but it's on the coast. It's in the Maremma region of Tuscany. So it is the local name for Sangiovese grape. So you are absolutely correct. You have a Sangiovese. It's a Sangiovese from Tuscany. It's just not a Chianti Classico. So Chianti Classico is the area that's between Florence and Siena. And where I was staying a couple of weeks ago was right in the middle there in Castellina and Chianti. If you then go to the coast, then you hit a region called the Maremma, which is where Morellino di Scansano comes from. So there you go. It's all a bit complicated, but it's not really. It's just because Italy was historically a whole lot of little countries bordering each other. Also, I have a very dry mouth from too much tannin over the last 2 days, so I'm going to keep drinking my water as well. Everywhere has a slightly different dialect, has slightly different customs, has slightly different names for things, so it all gets a little bit confusing. But it's one of the things that's wonderful and frustrating about learning about Italian wine is all the different names for the same variety and the different flavours that you get from growing it in different places. So let me just say cheers to you guys. I hope that you're all already drinking, but I'm going to have a little sip of my Sangiovese. I've put a bit too much in the glass to be able to swirl it properly, so I'll just have a little sip to help myself. That's delicious. So Sangiovese is a grape variety that's named for the god Jove, and Sangiovese actually translates literally as the blood of Jove. So it's and the reason that it's called that is partly the colour. It's this orangey kind of blood-like colour when it's made into wine, but it also has a slightly metallic, sanguine, bloody taste to it as well, which sounds a bit gross, but if you think less about just blood and think about, a really nicely cooked steak or something like that that's just got a bit of juice coming out of it, that sort of nice meaty iron kind of style of flavour, that's what you're getting. It's a meatiness that we get from Sangiovese, which is really lovely. Howdy, Zoe and Rob there. Hello, Zoe and Rod with the Castiglione with some Volpino pizzas. Fantastic. That Castiglione Chianti is a really good value wine from Dan Murphy's for those of you who got it. It's pretty tasty. And I think it's about $20 at Dan Murphy's. So it'll be a slightly lighter, juicier style of Sangiovese compared to, oh dear, someone's hacked us. We'll just ignore that and hope they go away. I think last time this happened, Shell, you worked out how to get rid of them, didn't you? Let me see if I can. Oh gosh. Remove. Report. There we go. Just getting it. Oh, go away, little messages. One more can go away. Remove. There we go. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. I didn't know whether it was important to get rid of that quickly or not, so I thought I'd better get rid of it. So yes, so Penny, you've got that one. I know Rob's got it. There are a couple of other people who I think texted me. Peter and Karen tried to get it, but you ended up with the Pizzini Pietrarossa and the Santa Margherita Chianti Classico. Fantastic. Heaps of charcuterie pizza. How fabulous. Italy usually does win with Sangiovese, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Penny, what are you writing? Dan Murphy. Did I say Philip Murphy? I meant Dan Murphy. Karen, you've got the Reserva 2012. Oh, beautiful. So these wines do, the higher quality wines age really nicely. And what you're looking for with Sangiovese in character generally is that lovely kind of terracotta red colour in the wine. And sometimes it'll be darker, sometimes it'll be a bit lighter. That doesn't necessarily mean that the quality is better or not. It's just the style of the wine and how they've made it and the fruit in that vintage and all those kind of things. Hello, Jeff. Oh, you're having the Fanatella. Excellent. On the nose, we get, as I say, that meaty, juicy kind of character, but also a sour cherry note, which is sort of the classic fruit character of Sangiovese, is a sour red cherry character. And then, that's all right, Penny. It's hard work pulling corks out, isn't it? We're not used to it. There's also a dusty tannin character, which you see more obviously on the palate, but you get a little bit of a character on the nose, which is like a terracotta dust or a sort of desert dust kind of a smell. And when you put the wine in your mouth, it has that lovely juicy red cherry fruit in the middle of the palate. And then you have this beautiful sort of dusty tannin and this lovely kind of meaty, kind of bloody kind of a flavour to it, which makes it a wine that works really, really well with tomato-based dishes. It works really well with cheese. It works beautifully with pizza. Those of you who are eating pizza will probably be having a lovely time right now. Great with charcuterie. So it's a very versatile wine style. We had in Italy, and Shell, you're going to kill me for telling you this now, very nicely with your cheeses from Milk the Cow. Oh, fantastic. Oh, those wines. Milk the Cow is a beautiful cheese shop in Melbourne, and anyone who hasn't been there, I highly recommend it. Shell, that's a very good shout out, actually, and a good brag as well. I was going to say, when I was in Chianti, I went to Poggioino and did a tasting with them and a vineyard visit and had lunch. We organised a lunch at their little trattoria, and they served us these beautiful little, they were like little kind of fritters made from chickpea flour. And I think they'd sort of made a batch and then let it set like polenta, but it was chickpeas. And then they cut it into cubes and sort of fry it and served that with a lovely little salad. And that was a fantastic match to a Chianti Classico as well. So I think there's a lot of flavours that work really well with Chianti. Don't let yourself get caught up with just sort of matching it to meat or pizza, but they work also fabulously well with these wines. So we're talking about wine that's got juicy red fruit. There's a little sour element to it. There's a bitterness. There's a savory element to it as well, which is what makes your mouth water and makes you hungry and thirsty for more. The other thing that's really important about Sangiovese is that it has quite high tannin levels and it has really good natural acidity. So you get on the palate, as well as that crunchy red cherry fruit, you get the acid that you'd expect to get from really kind of tangy sour cherries, and it makes your mouth water. And the tannin in there, which is quite drying, has that sort of terracotta dust character to it, makes your mouth dry out and makes you want to eat some food to get your mouth salivating again, makes you want to drink some more wine to wet your whistle again. And it's a very satisfying wine to drink because it makes you hungry and thirsty and satisfies your hunger and thirst at the same time. I think Capriciosa pizza could work brilliantly with these wines. Absolutely. Yeah, shall I go through chickpea phases as well? And I need to learn how to make these little dumplings. And when I find a recipe, I will share it with you because they were superb. And we had them with a little herb of sort of radishes and herbs and little bits of kind of bitter lettuce that were all cut up small and had a lovely little kind of citrusy vinaigrette on it. It was really fresh and lovely. And it wasn't the sort of thing that I would expect to match to a red wine like this, but it worked really well. So what else can I tell you about Sangiovese? So, well, I should tell you a lot about, just had to have another sip, a lot about what I'm doing here in Mildura, because, hello, Jeremy, I wish you had food. Oh, Chardonnay, that's good. And you're here, which is really good. And pizza and Italian red and cheese will come to you one day soon, I hope. Thank you for joining us. So I am here in Mildura judging at the Alternative Varieties Wine Show, Australian Alternative Varieties Wine Show. And it's a really special year actually this year because this show has been running up here for 21 years. And especially for me, I was one of the judges at the very first show 21 years ago, which makes me feel very old. But it's really special to be back. And I've been back to Mildura and popped in on the show a couple of times in the interim, but haven't been a judge since then. So they invited me back last year for their 20th anniversary. And of course, all the lockdowns got in the way of that. So we had to postpone it. And so when they issued the invitation for this year, I leapt at the chance because, first of all, the people up here are wonderful, very inspiring, amazing people to spend time with. The judges that they've brought in for this show are incredible. So I'm judging alongside people like Jane Faulkner and Max Allen and who else is on the there's lots of sommeliers, there's incredible winemakers, but all these people who are incredibly passionate about wine generally and alternative varieties. So what you ask, I hear you ask, is defined as an alternative variety in Australia today. When I was judging back 21 years ago, and I have to tell stories tonight, so I'm practicing on you guys now. So when I came here 21 years ago at the ripe old age of 29, I think, I was pretty overwhelmed by these crazy alternative varieties that I was tasting. And back then, it was mostly Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio. There was a little bit of Viognier. There was lots of Sangiovese, which most of it was not particularly awesome, but we've come along in leaps and bounds in the last 21 years with that grape variety. There was a tiny bit of Barbera and Nebbiolo 21 years ago, and there's heaps now. We tasted some beautiful Barberas today. And a little bit of a crazy grape variety that just kind of keeps on keeping on called Saperavi, which is actually a Russian grape variety. So luckily I didn't have to taste them today because they're quite tannic and fairly heavy work. So today and yesterday we tasted a lot of other grape varieties that would never have been planted or made in Australia 21 years ago, which is really exciting. I'll tell you about them in a minute. So yes, Cotty, I tasted lots of interesting things, but I won't know what the wines are until Saturday. So yesterday and today we did the judging. Tomorrow we do the trophy judging in the morning. So I'm back at it at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Tonight we've got a consumer dinner where there's about 70 people coming along who have been big fans of the show to eat Stefano's food. Everyone knows about Stefano Pieri, I hope. He's an amazing chef and very much tied into the modern history of Mildura. He and the family that he married into a long time ago. And he runs a number of restaurants up here. And if you haven't been to Stefano's in Mildura, I highly recommend that you make a booking and you get up here sooner rather than later, because he won't be doing it forever and his food is amazing. He's really incredible. The Spanish grill is also really good, Kay. Oh, God, everything's bleeping and banging at me tonight. Let me turn that off as well. Sorry, guys. So tomorrow we judge the trophies, and we still don't know what any of the wines are. We just know the numbers that they've been assigned, and we know which wines we thought were good and which ones weren't. And then on Saturday, we have the big trophy and award lunch. Sorry, it's a lunch. It's a long lunch. They give out all the trophies. We find out who's won all of the top prizes, and it would be pretty amazing. So what grape varieties are we seeing today? So lots of Arneus in the white categories, lots of Fiano, some really lovely Gewürztraminas, which made me happy, but also some Gewürztraminas that were trying to look like anything but Gewürztraminer, which made me very cranky. So we had to have a little rant about that. Gewürztraminer as a grape variety must be floral and must have medium acidity and be quite rich on the mid palate. Doesn't need to have sugar, but a little bit of sugar doesn't hurt it. But a lot of people get really kind of nervous about making wine like that in Australia, and it's a really sad thing. But we found some nice ones. What else in the whites? Trebbiano, lots of Trebbiano. Vermentino, quite a lot of Vermentino. Jeremy, there was some Graciano in the red blends section, but not. And there's also an other reds, which I think there might have been a couple of Gracianos floating around in the other reds section. I didn't judge that, but I did judge some very interesting red blends and some very interesting white blends. You still see in the white, you still see the Rhone varieties, so Viognier and Marsanne and Roussanne. And then in the reds, lots and lots of Barbera, lots of Sangiovese, obviously. Lots of Tempranillo, the good, the bad, and the ugly in the Tempranillo stakes. We tasted a little bracket of Zinfandel. We tasted a little bracket of very good Cabernet Franc. Very impressed by the Cabernet Francs, and some very lovely. We had. I didn't do the Saperavi, but I did do. Sagrantino. It's a great. I always forget Sagrantino, which is from Umbria. It's a really kind of challenging grape variety. It used to be made as a fortified wine. Now it's kind of big fruit, lots of tannin. One of the reasons that my teeth are black today was the last bracket of Sagrantino that we had to taste. Little bit of Aragote here and there, Rob. Primitivo is the same variety as Zinfandel, and they DNA tested it. So yes, it's sort of, they called it Primitivo / Zinfandel, and we had 4 or 5 wines in that bracket. So not a lot, but they were pretty good. What else? Lots of different varieties. So these days, Pinot Grigio is not eligible to be entered into the alternative variety show. It's too mainstream, which I think's pretty cool. Did I say Nebbiolo? There was definitely a Nebbiolo class, so that was exciting. I didn't get to judge that, but I'm looking forward to seeing the winner of that class on Saturday. So yeah, it's been really exciting. So most of the alternative grape varieties are Italian and Spanish, but there are some Greek varieties coming through. Saperavi has grown a lot in Queensland, Peter and Karen. It's because it's a very It's a very forgiving grape variety. It doesn't mind being grown in Russia, all through all of the climates that they have in Russia, and it makes pretty full-bodied, high alcohol, high tannin wine wherever it's grown, which doesn't really kind of make me excited about it. And I've got to say, I don't really care if I never taste another Saperavi in my life. Apologies to all of those out there who are making and growing Saperavi. Good on you, but it's not a variety. It's not a style of wine that really appeals to me personally. Did I answer your question, Jeremy? Yes, I think there was some Graciano that popped up. Pretty much any crazy, any grape variety that you can think of that maybe you haven't heard of, and we've tasted them. There was definitely a class of Gruner Veltliners. I didn't get to taste them, Cotty, but apparently there were some good ones. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing the best of those on Saturday morning. On Saturday also, we have to go along to the exhibitors tasting and talk to the exhibitors. So we've had to write, as well as judging the wines, we've had to write notes on all of the wines, and all of our comments on the wines go through to the exhibitors. So if we've given someone a terrible mark for their wine and said this is a horrible wine that tastes like weeds and drains, they'll see that and they can come and talk to us about it. So it's a bit confronting sometimes, and I think you have to be really careful about what you write in your comments, but it's a really good opportunity for a lot of growers to kind of come and say, well, this is what I was trying to do with this wine, and have a talk to people who hopefully have some input into how you can maybe do it better. So Rob's just asked what we're told about the wine, just variety. Sometimes not even that. So we're told the name of the class. So if we're judging, say, class 43, and that's blended red wines, then they don't tell us what the grape varieties are. We just have to taste the wines on their merits. We can, if we ask for it as a panel, get the grape varieties later, but the problem with that is that there are a lot of wineries there are a lot of people who are doing sort of quite wacky grape varieties and wacky blends, and there might be only one of those wines being made in Australia. So as soon as you know what the blend is, then you know whose the wine is, and that might influence the mark that you give for it. So they try not to give away that sort of information. If it's Vermentino class, you know it's Vermentino, but you don't know the age of the wine, and they usually in this wine show they usually have a few different wine ages in a class. So yeah, there's a bit of sort of hit and miss, but it's all, I guess that's why they get the professionals in to do the wine judging. So it's really about picking up the glass and tasting what's in the glass and trying to get that onto paper and then giving it a number score. And the number scores are out of 100, and 95 and above gives someone a gold if that's agreed on across, because there are three judges and an associate judge in every panel. So there's the chief judge, and Max Allen was our chief judge. It was lovely working with Max. Hi, Max. I'm sure he's not watching. He'll be having a little lie down or a beer before the dinner that we have to go to tonight, probably. Cotty's asking how many wineries enter, and John asks if there's only one wine in a class, do they win? There's never only one wine in a class. If there's only one wine in a class, then they'll go into that. That's why they have the other reds and the other whites and the blended reds and the blended whites class. So if only one person enters the Graciano class, for example, they'll close the Graciano class and put them into the other reds. So there's some competition there. Cotty, I've got no idea how many wineries enter, but there were 4 panels of judges, and we all tasted about 200 wines each day. So that's 1,600 wines in 2 days that we've tasted through between the 4 panels. And some wineries will enter lots of wines, and some wineries will only enter 1 or 2. So it really depends. I'll know more on Saturday about how many wineries have entered and all that kind of thing, but they don't give us that information beforehand because they want to keep us, not keep us guessing. They want to keep us as unbiased against the wines that we're tasting as possible. So It's all a bit of a mystery at the moment. Somebody back in the chat asked about the river levels. I think that was maybe Karen or Kay. So the river levels are pretty high. There's no walking along the river at the moment, but they're not coming up high enough to threaten the shops or the town at the moment. But the problem is that they're talking now about the river rising steadily over the next few weeks. So they don't know whether it's going to get high enough to flood into the town. The town's quite a lot higher than the actual river level. But they were saying yesterday that Stefano's father-in-law, who Don Camilo, maybe, anyway, the Don, has been here since the 1950s, and they had a big flood in 1957 or 58. I can't remember. That's a long time ago. But they're reckoning that it'll be as bad or worse than that flood. They've never seen anything since then that's been horrendous. So yes, it's pretty exciting times with the flooding. The sun has come out today, which is delightful. You can see I'm in my short sleeves, whereas I was in my puffy jacket and jumper yesterday. It was quite cold. But yeah, it's lovely to be here. Yes, it is hard work, Alison. And yeah, in a way, it does take a lot of the romance out of the wine. I'm not really enjoying my Poggioino Chianti Classico as much as I would like to be, because my mouth is a bit broken at the moment. And we were talking about it, the other people who've been judging over the years, talking about the fact that, you know, we rely on looking after our mouths to be able to do our job properly, our mouths and our noses. And it's not just looking after your teeth, it's looking after all the soft tissue in your mouth and your tongue and down your throat and all that kind of thing. And after tasting all those wines, I've got a couple of ulcers coming up, which is really nice. And so your mouth gets quite sore. And then you get these, you know, red wines with tannin, which usually you drink with gusto, and you taste them and you kind of go, oh my God, please just give me a cold glass of sparkling water, or perhaps a little beer. I don't drink beer very often, but I find beer very good for the palate after a day of wine tasting. Peter and Karen, even if you spit, you absorb some alcohol, not enough to feel drunk or anything like that, but I'm sure you do. It's not a great idea to judge a wine show and then drive home. It's quite, yeah, I think it's something that you do have to be careful about. But you when you're judging a wine show, I certainly am, and everyone that I judge with is really careful to make sure that we spit everything out. And so you get to the end of the day drinking a lot of water in between tastings, and your body doesn't know what to do because you've been putting wine in your mouth and then spitting it out, and you get all the sort of the effect of the tannins and the acid and things in your mouth. So your body thinks that you're drinking wine. You drink lots of water, but you get dehydrated quite easily doing wine tasting. So yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act getting it all right. It's not very sexy. It's not that fun. And a lot of people go, oh wow, you've got the best job in the world. And I would be the first to agree with people when they say that to me, because I love my job. But the wine judging, wine tasting side of it, it's a great way to learn about wine. It's a great way to have some camaraderie and get to know other winemakers and buyers and that kind of thing. Sophie Otten's here as well. I don't know if any of you guys remember Sophie Otten. She has been for a long time an amazing sommelier at some of Australia's top restaurants. She writes for Gourmet Travel Wine magazine. She's now retired from working for other people, and she and her husband have a wine bar in Sydney, which I will be going to next time I'm in Sydney. So we might have to have a little catch up there for the Sydney folk. But yeah, lovely to catch up with Sophie as well and find out what she's been doing. And just realising that we've all been a little bit in our own bubbles for the last few years, and even almost a year out from the worst 2 years of the pandemic, we're still kind of going, oh, wow, are you doing that now? That's pretty cool. So that's nice. It's nice catching up with your colleagues and finding out what's going on. But yeah, you get to the end of one of these. Absolutely, Karen. you get to the end of, I think they're in Marrickville, but I'll check. I'll find out what it's called. But you get to the end of one of these and you don't feel like drinking wine for a few days. Usually you don't feel like eating either, because usually there are huge dinners every night and everyone goes home hungover and completely stuffed full of food. But one of the beautiful things about Stefano is that on the first night he cooked us dinner and he made us a little sformato, which is a little cheese kind of, how do you describe it? It's like a souffle, but it's popped out of a pot rather than puffed up. Really light, cheesy, kind of spinachy thing with a creamy sauce over the top. And then he made us mushroom risotto, and that was it. And it's like, usually at these things you go, oh God, how many courses are we going to have to get through every day? 5 courses. And then last night he made us a lovely bean and pasta soup. So we've been fed very nourishing food up until now. As I said, I've got to go in a minute to go to a dinner, and I think that'll be a bit more multi-course and lots of different wines, because there are a lot of paying customers coming to this one tonight. She is too. Thank you, Kay. Sophie Ottens that she loves you in Newtown, and it's her bar. She and her husband run it, and she's wanted to do this for a while. So I think she's having a lovely time being a bar owner. And she said that she's on the floor all the time, which is also amazing for someone who's been a sommelier for such a long time, because sommeliers always try and get off the floor because they get so sick of having sore feet and running around. So nice that she's found her own space, which is awesome. Bean and pasta soup. It's called pasta fagioli in Italian, and it's very Tuscan, and it was delicious and nourishing yesterday. I've got no idea what we'll be eating tonight, but I will report back. I think it will be pretty good. And yeah, I think so. Before we sign off, because we're getting into nearly the 40-minute mark, and I do have to go and get ready for dinner because I'm one of the guest speakers, so I can't be late for dinner tonight. I need to rest my little voice after talking to you guys. But let's taste our Sangiovese again, and it'll have opened up, and it's got that lovely kind of tangy sour cherry, a little bit of anise, lots of delicious. Oh, Jeff, cacio e pepe. Did you see that on the photo? On the photo of the menu in Tuscany? Cacio e pepe is a fantastic match to Chianti. And cacio e pepe, for those of you who don't know, is a pasta sauce. So spaghetti pici, which is the local Tuscan sort of like hand-rolled spaghetti, so it's sort of round, but it's a bit thicker. But cacio e pepe is pepper and pecorino cheese, and then you use the water that the pasta's cooked in to kind of turn that into a kind of gloopy sauce that covers the pasta. It's delicious. It's very simple, really easy to make. Obviously, has a lot of olive oil in it as well, because where would you be in Tuscany without lots of olive oil? Next week, we are starting our next box. So if you haven't ordered the next box, actually, I have a problem next week. Next week, I'm going to be on the Sunshine Coast doing a dinner at XO on Sunshine Beach. So any of you who are based up there and who haven't booked in, please book in and come along. It'd be lovely to see you. But next week, we might have to have a little buy, because the dinner starts at 6:30. So I think it's going to be too difficult. I'll talk to my guys. Excellent. I'm glad Paul and Rosa booked. I'll talk to my guys and see if there's any way we can kind of just, sit in a corner somewhere for 10 minutes and do a little quick hello and a glass of something. But I think we might wait to start. Hang on, Kay. That's 7:30 here. Oh, it is too. Oh, yeah, because the Queenslanders don't do daylight savings, so I might be able to do it. Oh, Shell. Thank you, Kay. See, that's why I have such an excellent brains trust amongst all of you. Let me work myself out. If I know. Sorry, Shell. Can you not do drinks with Kate? I can do 6 o'clock next week. That means if I'm not out on the road with Lane. Let me talk to Lane, find out what he's got planned for me. If it's all too difficult, I will let you guys know. If not, we'll be starting with the Moorooduc Estate Chardonnay, I think is the first one on the list, the new vintage 2020. So that'll be exciting. Anyway, I'll send you an email on Monday once I've worked out what's happening next week. Thank you, Cotty and Alison. It's not so much a week off, it's just trying to work out how to fit it in with this pesky travel that I keep having to do for work stuff and seeing people and things. So yes, we'll see if we can do next week. I will confirm or deny it on Monday next week. I'll send you an email. And Shell, maybe you could lead a sake tasting from Tokyo. And we will miss you, Shell, next week. Maybe we should just postpone it because Shell can't come. Anyway, I'll have a think about it. We'll work it out. I'll see what's going to be the easiest. Also, we're starting to run out of weeks before Christmas, so I'm a bit reticent to postpone anymore because we'll end up at Christmas time and still have wine in our box, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But we'll work it out. Let me spend some time on it on the weekend working it out. In the meantime, have a lovely evening, guys. I'm going to go and splash some water on my face and go and get ready for dinner. It's been awesome. Take care and cheers.